Good afternoon, students. Today we will start with our new topic, that is Pelton turbine, or it is also called as Pelton wheel. So already in the last class we have seen the classification of hydraulic turbines, right? So this comes under the first type, that is nothing but the type of energy. So at inlet, if you have only kinetic energy, the turbine is called as impulse turbine. So Pelton wheel or Pelton turbine is a tangential flow impulse turbine. So it is an impulse turbine, right? So where only the kinetic energy will be present at the inlet of the turbine. Nothing but at inlet we have only kinetic energy. We don't have any pressure energy. Nothing but there at inlet and outlet we have only atmospheric pressure only. No excess pressure will be there except atmospheric pressure, right? So this is about Pelton wheel. So the Pelton wheel or Pelton turbine is a tangential flow impulse turbine, right? So the water strikes the bucket along the tangent of the runner. The energy available at the inlet of the turbine is only kinetic energy. So that's why it is called as impulse turbine. Type of turbine is impulse turbine. Pelton wheel is an impulse turbine. Okay, so the pressure at inlet and outlet of the turbine is atmospheric pressure, and this turbine is used for high heads, right? So in other types, if you have seen, depending upon the heads, if high head is available, you can use Pelton turbine also. The turbine is also used for high heads, but where more amount of water is available at the reservoir, high heads, there you can use the Pelton wheel for production of your power, right? So the figure already has seen this hydroelectric power plant yesterday figure, same image, this one, right? So this figure shows that there is a Pelton wheel here, which is attached here. This is the Pelton wheel model, right? So for production of the power, for producing power by use of the turbine, Pelton turbine, right? So it shows the layout of hydraulic power plant in which the turbine is Pelton wheel. The water from the reservoirs flows through the penstocks. So already I said what is a penstock. Penstock is a large pipe connected from the reservoir to the near to the turbine, where a nozzle will be connected to this penstock to increase the velocity of the jet, right? So the nozzle which is connected to the penstock will increase the kinetic energy of the water flowing through the penstock. So at the outlet of the nozzle, the water comes out in the form of jet and strikes the bucket. Here it is also called as buckets, vanes, or blades of the runner. Runner means the wheel which is available on the wheel where all the blades are attached, that is called as runner. The main parts of the Pelton turbine, these are the main four parts. We have a nozzle and flow regulating arrangement, which is called spear, nozzle and a spear with the runner and buckets, casing, and braking jet. So these are the main four parts of your Pelton wheel, which are available, right? So these four parts, right? So this is arrangement, which is the first one, nozzle and flow regulating arrangement. This is the thing. Okay, so before seeing this, if you see this whole diagram, you can understand. So this is a pipe connected. This is a pipe called as penstock, which is connected from the reservoir where the water will come. And here a nozzle is connected to this for increasing the kinetic energy, for increasing the velocity, right? So this spear is nothing but for regulating the water coming out from the nozzle. This spear is used. Okay, right? So as the water come in the form of jet, the runner will rotate because the blades will rotate continuously as the jet strikes each and every blade. It will continuously rotate, and this shaft will be connected to a generator from where the power will be produced, right? So this is called casing. So the casing purpose is just for not allowing the water to go out, nothing but spray of water cannot come out, right? So that is casing. The function of casing is to prevent the splashing of water and to discharge water to the tail race. So this water, after hitting the blades, it will come and collected in your tail race position, right? Okay, so that is the functioning of your casing part. Next, if you are seeing the runner and buckets, so these are called as your buckets or vanes, and this will be the runner on which the buckets or vanes will be kept, right? So it consists of a circular disc on the periphery of which a number of blades eventually placed are fixed here like this. So the shape of the bucket, in case of this one here, you can see here, this is the shape of the bucket available for your Pelton wheel. So this shape is called double. See, you can have two things, double hemispherical cup shape. Double hemispherical cup shape buckets are available for your Pelton wheel. Double hemispherical cup shapes, or it is also called as bowl shapes. So each bucket here, if you see, this whole thing is called as a bucket. So each bucket is divided into two symmetrical parts by a dividing wall. You can see here, there is something in between these two this bucket, which is divided into two equal parts like this one. So that is known as a splitter. So you have a splitter also in the bucket, so which divides this blade into two symmetrical parts. Okay, you can see here, right? The shape is double hemispherical cup, right? And we have a splitter in the middle for making it into two equal parts, two segments, symmetrical segment, right? So this is the runner of your Pelton wheel. So, right, so we have seen runner, casing purpose, and next we have braking jet. One more word what we have used is braking jet. Yeah, you can see that braking jet. So when the nozzle is completely closed, so as the water is flowing from the nozzle, what happened? The turbine blades will get rotated, and even if you close the nozzle with the help of a spear, so what happened? That the turbine, as the water is coming with very high velocity, even if you stop the flow of the nozzle here, the turbine will continuously rotate for some time. It may take so much minutes or seconds. So to stop that movement, when we close the nozzle, what we are keeping is we are keeping one more nozzle at the opposite direction for stopping the turbine from rotating. So that jet, so that nozzle from where the jet is coming is called as your braking jet. Okay, right? I have understood what I'm telling. What is the meaning of braking jet? So because of the inertia of the nozzle, even if you close the nozzle here, the runner or the turbine blade will continuously rotate after closing this nozzle also. So to stop that movement, we are keeping one more small nozzle at the opposite end, applying again a jet on that to stop the turbine. Slowly it will get stopped fastly, right? So if you leave without that braking jet, what happens? This turbine will continuously rotate even if you stop this because of the inertia force. Continuously it will rotate for a longer period. So for stopping that, we are going to use a braking jet at the other side. So these are the four parts of your Pelton wheel. And next we are seeing the velocity triangle, or once again. Yes, so this is your velocity triangles for velocity triangle for the Pelton wheel. So you can see here. So the jet will come and hit that splitter. So this is our bucket shapes sectional view. Sectional view, if you see this is one of the bucket which is available here, right? So the water coming from the nozzle will hit at the splitter where we have the splitter. There the water will come and hit in this direction. So we don't get any inlet triangle because it is not hitting at the end of the turbine. It is not hitting here. So suppose it is hitting here in this direction, you will get your triangle here. So since it is hitting at the center of the blade, we are getting a horizontal line, which is your V1, right? So already we know V1 is a combination of U1 and VR1. So we have seen this already in case of jet hitting at the center of the curved blade. There we have seen this. So this V1 is equals to summation of U1 plus VR1. And here V1 is also equal to VW1. Right, so you need to remember that in case of Pelton wheel, the jet at the inlet will come in a horizontal direction like this. We don't have any inlet triangle in the Pelton wheel at the inlet, right? So after the jet hit the splitter, since it is symmetrical, we are considering only at the one side the outer triangle, but outside triangle we are taking as velocity triangle at the outside as only at one side. So as the jet hit with V1 velocity here, after the deflection, so this is the deflection angle where VR2 will come out, right? So this deflection angle VR2 will come out with an angle, deflection angle outside, and here the triangle will be coming fully, right? So again, we already know what is the triangle, velocity triangle at the outlet. So VRT is the relative velocity, V2 is the jet velocity at the outlet, and VF2 is the tangential velocity coming out from the outlet part, where these are the angles beta as well as your phi angle. And this is U2 from this point to here and BW2 in between these 2 points. Right. So already we know how to draw the triangles and all. So just I'm showing the diagram here. Yes, please mute yourself. Okay. So this is our velocity triangle diagram for your Pelton turbine or Pelton wheel. Right. So in problems, you will give the angle of deflection here. So this is the angle of deflection here. So what is the angle? Suppose if you assume okay, so if this is a deflection angle given to us, assume that if this is x, so what will be the angle here?
Pi.
Here, see here, this is horizontally. If you see, it is total 180 degrees. So if this angle you are taking as the x angle, this will be 180 minus x. I'm not asking the symbol. I'm asking what will be the angle here. 180 minus x will be the angle. Suppose this is 30. Here it will be 180 minus 30 degrees. So this angle is also equal to pi here. You can see. So what you will get here is also equal to this phi symbol. You can see here. Why? Because this line and this line both are parallel, and this angle here angle and here angle will be equal. Same concept. So here it will be pi, and automatically this also will be equal to pi. So in exam or in problem, if we give the angle of deflection as 150 degrees, so you can find pi by using the angle of deflection in case of your Pelton wheel, right? So that is the thing here. Yes, you can draw this diagram roughly. Then we have the same things. What are the things we need here is we need the diameter of the penstock. So that is denoted by capital D star, and the diameter of the wheel where the turbine blades are placed. That is the diameter of the wheel, capital D. And already we know what is H, HT, and HF. H is nothing but net head acting on the Pelton wheel. HT is the gross head. Gross head will be available at the backside of your dam or back in the reservoir. And this HF is a loss of head because of the friction in the penstock. So already we know the formula for finding this. That is Darcy equation 4FL V square by 2GD. So we need to take the diameter of the penstock because the frictional loss is happening in the penstock pipe, right? So next thing is your velocity of jet at inlet. So V1 is given by under root of 2GH. Already we know where H is the net head available at the turbine, right? Net head available for the turbine. How much head of water is available for us to for the turbine, that is taken here. Next U1 and U2, we need to take pi dn by 60. So since this is taken because of the drum or the wheel is rotating so that's why we can find the blade velocity from the angular velocity, that is pi dn by 60, right? So U1 and U2 is common in case of your Pelton wheel, right? That is U equal to pi dn by 60. So we can calculate velocity of the blade if we know the diameter of the wheel where the blades are fixed here. If you know the diameter of this, you can find the velocity of these blades, that is pi dn by 60, right? So next we can see at the inlet, we don't have any triangle, just we have a straight line at the inlet. So we know V1 and the horizontal component of V1 is V1 cos alpha. So if we don't have alpha equal to 0, we get here VW1. So V1 is always equal to VW1 in your Pelton wheel, and we will have U1 and remaining part will be having your VR1. Okay, so these things already we have seen previously. So you need to remember all these things for this, right? So you need to draw the blade like this always, symmetrical with respect to the splitter. Okay, so at center we are hitting with a velocity of V1, which is always equal to VW1 total line. Next at the outlet we'll get our triangle like this, right? So this will be the phi angle phi, VR2. Next at the center we'll have V2. Here we'll have your VF2. This will be the angle beta, right? So later we can see this. So at inlet triangle, VR1 equal to, so if you want VR1 value, we can find it as V1 minus U1. This one, total length is V1. And if you want VR1, you can find V1 minus U1 like this. So VR1 equal to V1 minus U1, right? Next, already we know wall velocity VW1 is equals to V1. So VW1 equal to V1. Alpha and theta are 0 since the jet is hitting in the center at the splitter. Okay, any doubt in this? Right. So next slide, if you see from the triangle, already know from the outlet triangle. So already we know here, since if you don't have any losses, we can take directly VR1 equal to VR2. And from the outlet triangle, if you see here, this value is VW2. And from here to here, it is U2. right? So for finding VW2, we need to take this total length minus this U2. If you do, you'll get VW2. So VW2 equal to, already we know the value of VR2 and phi, right? So VR2 cos phi is the horizontal component. This line horizontal component gives full length of this. So VR2 cos phi is full length now, minus if you do U2, you will get VW2. So this is a formula for finding VW2, right? So that is here. So VW2 equal to VR2 cos phi minus U2 from the outlet triangle. Next, already we know the force exerted in the direction as Fx into mass flow rate, rho a V1, mass per second into initial velocity minus final velocity. So here as angle, if you see this, if you take the component of this, it will be showing the negative direction. So initial minus of minus VW2 will get, that becomes VW1 plus VW2. So this derivation is not that much important, but you just need to know how you are getting all the things. So already we have seen the same thing. So last if you see the work done per unit, you'll get this one, rho a V1 into VW1 plus VW2 into U by weight of water, that is M into G, right? So this formula also we have seen already, same thing. In place of curved place, we have seen, right? So next we have to, for finding the efficiency, we need the kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy is the input which is given to our turbine always. So half rho a V1 into V1 square, but half M V square. So M is this one, rho a V1 is the mass per second. Right, so now we can find the hydraulic efficiency. So hydraulic efficiency is the work done per second by kinetic energy per second. So already we have work and kinetic energy. Then you can remove the terms and you finally will get your efficiency equation as 2 into VW1 plus VW2 into U by V1 square, right? So till this we have seen the last cases where for the impact of jets on vanes, we have seen up to here only, right? So now we know VW1 value and VW2 value in terms of V1 and everything. So that you can substitute here. So VW1 is equal to V1 and VR1 is equals to V1 minus U1, right? And VW2 is VR2 cos phi minus U2. And VR2, V1 minus phi. If you substitute all these terms in this equation, this one, right? So finally you will get a term for efficiency in terms of V and initial velocity, in jet velocity and initial blade velocity U, right? So this will be our equation if we have V1 and U, right? For finding the maximum efficiency also we can use this, right? So efficiency hydraulic is 2 into V1 minus U into 1 plus cos phi into U by V1 square, right? So for getting the maximum efficiency, what we need to do, we need to integrate the terms, which is here we need to integrate this, differentiate with respect to U value, velocity of the blade. So at last you will get where you will get maximum efficiency is nothing but when you do these things, you will get this term. When U is half of jet velocity, nothing but when blade velocity is half of the jet velocity, we will get the maximum efficiency, right? So this point is very important. When blade velocity is half of the jet velocity, we'll get your maximum efficiency for a hydraulic efficiency, right? So the equation states that hydraulic efficiency of Pelton wheel will be maximum when the velocity of the wheel is half the velocity of jet of the water at inlet, right? So at that time we need to take U equal to V1 by 2 in the equation, this equation. U equal to V1 by 2, if you substitute, you'll get the final maximum efficiency condition. Maximum efficiency is 1 plus cos phi by 2. If you do, you'll get the maximum efficiency of the Pelton wheel, right? That's all. So these are the things we need to find when he's asking me the question problem, right? So these are the points which we need to remember for designing any Pelton wheel or for solving the problems. So what is that? The velocity of the jet at inlet can be calculated by using this formula V1 equal to CV into under root of 2GH, right? So already we have seen this formula where in case of discharges there we have found it, right? Velocity is equals to coefficient of velocity into under root of 2GH, where H is the net head at the turbine. Next we need to find. Yes, are you able to hear me? Anil, can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so these are the points to be remembered for Pelton wheel. So V equal to CV into under root of 2GH, where H is the net head of the turbine. And similarly, we need to find the blade velocity of the wheel or blade velocity. But with how much velocity the blades are moving on the wheel. So U equal to, this is phi. This is not the same phi what we have seen in the angle. So here phi is nothing but speed ratio. Remember that. Here symbol it is given as phi, but this is not angle. This is speed ratio. So the value of speed ratio varies from 0.43 to 0.48. In exam or in problems, he will give this. Just hold on a second. Right. So next after that, we know that angle of deflection of the jet through bucket is 165 degrees if no angle of deflection is given. So remember, whenever in problem is not giving any angle of deflection, we need to take that deflection angle as 165 degrees. Right. So automatically we can remember that phi will be 15 degrees when it is 165 degrees. Not this phi, the phi which is available at the outlet triangle, this one, this phi. Okay. So here the phi denotes the speed ratio. Next, the mean diameter of the or the pitch diameter of the Pelton wheel is given by U equal to pi dn by 60. So for if you have U, you can find the diameter of the Pelton wheel also. Next, jet ratio. So it is defined as the ratio of the pitch diameter D to the Pelton wheel to the diameter of the jet. Nothing but it is a ratio of diameter of the Pelton wheel to the diameter of the jet. In short form, if you can remember, it is a ratio of diameter of Pelton wheel or diameter of the wheel to the diameter of the jet. So capital D by D is called as your jet ratio. So M equal to D by D, that is 12. Number, you will get something. For most cases, we can take it as 12. Number of buckets on a runner is given by. So number of buckets on a runner is mainly depending upon the diameter of the runner, right? So that's why we have one equation for doing that. So cap Z equal to this one. So Z equal to, where this is called as number of buckets. How many blades or vanes or buckets are available on the Pelton wheel? We can use this formula, that is Z equal to 15 plus capital D by 2D, where D is the diameter of the wheel, small d is the diameter of the jet. And here M denotes jet ratio. So again, it is D by D only, same thing. Any one form you can remember. 15 plus D by 2D or 15 plus 0.5 M. Anything. Right. So next we need to know number of jets. So it is obtained by dividing the total rate of flow through the turbine by the rate of flow of water through the jet. Nothing but number of jets you can find by using Q by Q, where capital Q is the discharge from the penstock and small q is the discharge at the jet. And that way you can find it, number of jets required. Right. So these are the points to be remembered before solving the problems in the Pelton wheel. Right. So remember two main points. One is at the inlet of the Pelton wheel, we'll get only a straight line. We don't get any velocity triangle. And at the outlet only, we'll get your velocity triangle. Okay. So this is your first problem on the Pelton wheel. So please remember, in exams, many times they have asked the Pelton wheel problems only. Mostly they have asked the Pelton wheel problems only. So very important problems, right? Please be careful in this. Okay. So take the first problem. A Pelton wheel has a mean bucket speed. So what is this? Bucket speed means what? What is this? 10 meters per second. Can anyone tell what is given here? A Pelton wheel has a mean bucket speed. So nothing but a blade speed is given. So blade speed is denoted by which letter? Anybody? Speed of velocity, nothing but speed of jet is V1, and the speed of bucket is nothing but speed of the blade. With what speed the blade is moving or with what speed the drum is rotating. So that is given. So he has given the value of U. right? So this is mean bucket speed U. So I'm writing here only. So given, you can write down, given U equal to U1 equal to U2, which is called as this mean bucket speed, which is 10 meter per second given. Next, what is telling, with a jet of water flowing at a rate of 700 liters per second. What is this? Jet of water flowing at a rate of 700 liters per second. So discharge is given, capital Q, discharge 700 liter per second. So you need to convert this into meter cube per second. So can anyone tell what is 700 in meter cube per second? What we need to do?
10 to the power minus 3.
Right. So we need to divide 700 by 1000. So that gives 0.7 meter cube per second. Right. So this is also given. And next, what is telling, what the discharge is 700 liters per second under a head of 30 meters. So what is the head also he has given. So H is given to us 30 meters. Next, the bucket deflects the jet through an angle of 160 degrees. So the deflection angle is given. So please write down here deflection angle. Okay, a little bit you write properly. I'm unable to write this because of with the mouse. So you can write on deflection angle is 160 degrees. Deflection angle is equals to 160 degrees. So from this 160 degrees, now you can find the phi angle, right? This one. So this angle and this angle is same. So phi you can find. So from this you can get phi, sorry, not theta, it is phi. So phi equal to, so phi value will be equal to 180 minus this 160 actually. This is not 165, 160. See in the question, what he has given, jet reflects to an angle of 160. So 180 minus 160 is 20 degrees given as phi value, right? So this angle we got from this. Next, what is asking? Is asking to calculate the power given by water to the runner and the hydraulic efficiency of the turbine. So he's asking to find the power as well as hydraulic efficiency, and he has given coefficient of velocity CV. So coefficient of velocity CV equal to 0.98, right? In some questions, he will give this as KV, which is also called as coefficient of velocity. And speed ratio, I have said in the last thing here, speed ratio, it is denoted by either this phi or it is also denoted by K small u. Remember this. Speed ratio is denoted by KU or phi. Similarly, CV or it is also as KV, coefficient of velocity, and here it is speed ratio. Okay, so please copy this and draw the diagram. Also very important, you need to draw this. Right, so these all things are the given data only. Up to now, what are the things he has given? So next we need to find the velocity. So what is the initial velocity? How to find V1? So V1 is equals to under root of 2gh, CV into under root of 2gh we can use, right? So first we can find velocity of the jet, right on that point, velocity of jet equal to CV under root of 2g into head available, right? So now we can substitute CV. What is the value of CV given? 0.98 into under root of 2 into 9.81 into h is given in 30 meters. So we can find velocity V1 equal to under root CV into under root of 2gh. Yes, please tell me the value of this.
23.775.
23.77 meter per second. Okay. Right. So after finding the velocity, inlet velocity V1, so we already know how to draw the triangle. Just I'm drawing roughly. Just see here once. We know it is the inlet, and at outlet we have the triangle. I'm not drawing outlet. Just see the inlet. So this is coming with a velocity of V1, which will be always equal to VW1. V1 is always equal to VW1. Next, this part is U1, and the remaining part is VR1. Right. So from this, now we got V1, which will be also equal to VW1. So VW1 value also we have. Next to U1 already he has given in the question. So that is the mean bucket velocity 10 meters per second. So now we can find VR1 from this. So VR1 from inlet, we don't have any triangle. From inlet, VR1 equal to, what is the value here? Can anyone tell what is VR1 equal to? This value, V1 minus U1. So VR1 equal to V1 minus U1. So you can find VR1, that is 23.77 minus U1. What is the value of U1? 10. So totally you'll get 13.77 meter per second. Okay. So VR1 equal to 13.77 meter per second. And we know V1 is also equal to VW1. Right. So by using the inlet line or inlet velocities, we need to find V1, VR1 and VW1. So it is very easy at the inlet because it is just a straight line. Suppose if you have the triangles, at that time we need to resolve the components and we can do, right? Okay, so just a second. And here is this, and we'll draw the outlet triangle now. Outlet velocity triangle. So blade for Pelton wheel, you need to draw like this. And here you will get your inlet line. And at outlet, we'll get the same type of triangle, velocity triangle, which we have already seen, right? So here this will be VR2, very difficult. Okay, VR2, V2, and this will be VF2. And what we know, the line or the water will jet here and it will get deflected like this. So this is given deflection angle as 160 degrees. So this will be automatically 20 degrees. So you get phi equal to 20 degrees. Right. So this length is U1, sorry, U2, and remaining length is VW2. Right. So at the outlet triangle now. So you can write down from outlet triangle or outlet velocity triangle. Velocity triangle, roughly I'm writing. Right. So from here, so before going to that, what we know, the relative velocity, what you're getting VR1 is also equal to VR2 because we don't have any loss at the blade. Right. So first point what we need to write is VR1 equal to VR2. Okay, that we need to write first. So what is the value which we got as VR1 is 13.77 meter per second. So VR1 equal to VR2, and we also have the phi value equal to 20 degrees. Next, what we need to find is VW2, and we want work done or power. So in the formula what we have VW1 and VW2. So already we got VW1 at the inlet and we just need VW2 from the outer triangle. So how to get this VW2 is, right? So this line full length is nothing but the horizontal component of this VR2. So from the outlet triangle, if you see, the horizontal component of VR2 is nothing but U2 plus VW2. So VR2 cos phi. So from the triangle, what I'm writing, you can see here, VR2 cos phi is the horizontal component of VR2. VR2 cos phi is equal to U2 plus VW2, right? So this line, this horizontal line is nothing but VR2's horizontal component. So VR2 and the angle here is phi. So VR2 cos phi should be equated to these two things, that is U2 plus VW2. So VR2 cos phi equal to U2 plus VW2. So from this, we can find VW2 because we already know VR2 value. VR2 is 13.77, 13.77 cos. So this is cos phi angle is 20. Cos phi is 20. This is 180 minus 160 minus U2 is 10. So now you will get VW2 value. So VR2 cos phi minus U2. Yes, tell me this value.
2.9.
2.939.
2.9?
3. 2.939.
939 meter per second. Okay, so 2.939 is your VW2 value, right? So after this, what he asked us to find? He asked us to find the power given to the turbine. So for finding the power, first we need work done by the jet on the runner. We need to find first. Then only you can find the power. So work done by 1000 if you do, you will get your power, right? So first we are going to find the work done, right? Short form I'm writing, work done by the jet, work done by jet per second. Okay, we have only 1 minute time. Please join immediately. Work done by jet per second on runner. Okay, runner is nothing but the turbine on runner. So what is the formula? Already we know that is mass per second rho a V1 is the mass per second into VW1 plus VW2 into